Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Saints hit the practice field for the first time in camp today. Michael Thomas was the big surprise, participating. Jameis was a full go. All accounts, it was a good day there on Airline Drive, and our buddy Todd Graffagnini was there. The radio voice of the Pels pulling double duty out there at Saints camp right now. Good enough to join us for a little camp report. Graff, how are you, man?
I am tremendous, Matt. Good to talk to you.
It is always our pleasure. Okay, just let me get a general vibe from you. One day, first day of camp, I get it, but what was the general vibe today?
It was pretty solid considering that Michael Thomas was on the field and nobody who was covering the practice, because remember, there were no fans out there today, Matt. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty much just media. When we all walked onto the practice field, or just outside the practice field at about 9:05 a.m., and, you know, you're trying to scour and see who's there and who's not there, and then all of a sudden you see number 13 on the sideline of one of the fields, and everybody's looking at each other going, is he actually going to do something? And they start doing walkthrough, and the first rep, Jameis Winston throws a quick out to Michael Thomas. We're like, this is for real. He is actually going to practice, which means he's off the PUP list, because you can't practice if you're on the PUP list. So that obviously has been the story of the day. As that's just, you know, we heard Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen talk about, well, we don't expect him to be on the PUP list long. Well, we didn't know that 18 hours later that was going to be, I mean, no more on the PUP list. So, yeah, that really dominated the day. It was, if you're a Saints fan, it was a very, very good day.
Do you think the Saints knew he was going to practice?
No, he actually had to take a conditioning test this morning, okay, which now he addressed. Now, Michael Thomas talked to the media after, and he said he knew going in that he was going to pass that test. So they might have had an inkling that he could have passed the test, but he knew that he was going to pass it. So, like I said, they mentioned last night that he had a feeling he wasn't going to be on it very long, and he was not.
Graff, it wasn't just Michael Thomas, but, man, Jameis was a go, Taysom Hill was a go, Peyton Turner was out there, Will Lutz. I mean, it kind of felt like they had the band back together. What were your impressions also of the guy? Well, you know, there's always the question about who was there, who wasn't there, sort of the attendance today.
No, I look, the only two significant absences, well, Tano Passanio was not there either, but we knew that going in as he was on the non-football illness list. But Pete Werner was working out on the side before the practice started, and everyone was looking at each other like, well, what's going on here? Well, we just found out a little while ago that he got placed on the NFI list. So it didn't appear that anything was seriously wrong with him, because he was conditioning before going back in. And Marcus Davenport wasn't out there either, Matt, but we knew that. We had a feeling he wasn't going to be out there as well, because Mickey and Dennis were talking about him yesterday, and it's more of a precautionary conditioning thing with Davenport. So I wouldn't expect him to be missing a whole lot of time as well. But just to see all those other guys, and you think about it, Marcus May was out there as well, who, of course, tore his Achilles last year with the Jets. He was out there. He participated in most of the drills. Taysom was out there from the get-go, coming off plantar fasciitis. Peyton Turner coming off a shoulder injury last year. He was full go. So it was real. You know, I was thinking about this, Matt, and I'm, you know, kind of just breaking rhythm here.
No, it's fine.
But you think about what happened 363 days ago, and I just looked it up to make sure. When you see the look on Sean Payton's face in the media room the day before training camp starts, and he talks about how Michael Thomas didn't have surgery, and we don't know when we're going to get him back. And look, they'll never admit this, but I think that was one of the building blocks of why Sean Payton ultimately left. I just think he had just had to deal with so much last year, and that was it. But you think of what happened now today, and how the Saints are so far ahead of the game as they were 1 year ago when we found out Michael Thomas. I mean, who knew when he was going to come back, and he never did come back last year. So just a completely different vibe.
Graff is with us talking about Saints training camp day one. Everyone's going to ask about Olave, and understandably, the ball is going to be his hand. I'm more interested in the other rookie first rounder, Trevor Penning, to see if he can win that left tackle job. How did he look today? How did James Hurst look today?
Hurst is right now the starting left tackle. Penning did okay, but again, they cut practice pretty short, Matt. It supposed was to end at 11:30, and they stopped at 10:30. It was, as Dennis Allen called it, after practice was over, kind of a getting your feet wet type of deal. So we really didn't see a whole lot of team reps, and they weren't even in pads. So it really, anything you could have deciphered from that really wasn't going to be, anything constructive. But look, Penning's going to get his opportunity. There's no doubt about it. And look, a lot again. You think about Michael Thomas coming back to the football field, Matt, and how the receiver room has completely flipped. You go a year ago, your wide receiver one at this point last year was Marquez Callaway and Deontay Hardy. Those are your top two receivers. Yeah. Well, now, if you could argue, they're your 4 and your 5, along with Tre'Quan Smith, because of Michael Thomas coming in, what Chris Olave has already shown in OTAs and minicamp and the first day of training camp. And then, of course, Jarvis Landry, who in my mind was the MVP of minicamp. I mean, he and Alvin Kamara were the best two players on the field during minicamp. And he had the play of the day offensively. Again, one of the few ones we saw. Jameis hit a deep 25-yard slant to Jarvis Landry in stride. And, I mean, you can see Jameis's arm strength. You can see the sure hands of Jarvis Landry. So that receiver room, which was a weakness a year ago, has now become a strength.
Graff, two more things that I wanted to ask about. One in the secondary. With Tyron out, who took his spot? And then also a lot of people have asked about Alante Taylor and what role he may fill. So who replaced Tyron, and what about Alante Taylor?
That was May. May was in there today. He was in place of Tyron. So again, it was good to see Marcus May in there, getting some reps in. And again, Alante is going to be backing up Paulson Adebo, and he'll have some reps behind Marshawn Lattimore. But Adebo and Lattimore are your starters. I mean, there is no doubt about that. They've been in there since minicamp, OTAs. And I would expect Alante Taylor, again, there have been some comparisons to him with Paulson Adebo, who you could argue was the surprise of the New Orleans Saints last year. I mean, this is a kid who didn't even play his final year at Stanford and then moved into the starting lineup really out of necessity. And in that first game against Green Bay, intercepted Aaron Rodgers, and the Saints blew out the Packers. And, I mean, the rest is history. He had that huge interception the last game against the Falcons, that one-handed pick. So, no, it's going to be interesting. Again, we've been talking about it. The secondary is, you could argue, the deepest position in the team, but don't look past the defensive line as well. You've got some guys there that can really, really play. And with the addition of Peyton Turner, and we saw him coming off the edge a couple times today, had a sack of Ian Book. Again, to me, Matt, it's always going to go back to health. I mean, the Saints have had just really, really bad luck since this run started in 2017, especially going back towards the ends of seasons where, the injury situations kind of derailed them. You go back to last year, 58 different players started a game. It's unprecedented. And they still won 9 games, went through 4 quarterbacks and 4 kickers. And won 9 games.
Will Lutz, it's good to see him back. Hey, before you go, running backs. You got Ingram in the single digit there with 5. Kamara was back, and then of course the rookies as well. And look, they just signed Malcolm Brown. Do you have any thoughts on the running backs today?
Yeah, Kamara was out there, caught some passes, ran a few inside, but again, there wasn't just a whole lot of team reps today. But it was interesting listening to Malcolm Brown. He addressed the media after practice, and he was fired up to be a part of it. He knows about the culture of the team, and that really influenced his decision to come here. And of course, Malcolm Brown was a member of the Rams when he came in for that NFC Championship game, and he talked about how loud the Superdome was, and again, he's pretty fired up to be here. So, again, you could not ask for a better first day of camp, and tomorrow they're going to get more into not a 90-minute, but a 2.5-hour practice, and I think the heat's going to take a little bit more of a toll than it did today. So it's going to be a little more real of a practice than it was today.
One day closer to the opener. Todd Graffagnini on Twitter at NTGraff, pulling some double duty there with some Saints duties here this year, along with, of course, the Pelicans play-by-play duties. Graff, we always appreciate the time, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.